A New Hope, a journal entry. Okay, this is a board. I have a journal. 1, 2, I died. To say my father is a bad father is an understatement. I'm gonna start in the middle, but it'll feel like the beginning. But I would normally start in the desert. But right now I'm gonna write about the fight my father had with Obi-Wan, who I consider my godfather. My father was in the wrong. He was insecure, younger than our mother. She had a bigger grasp of life than he did. He was always screaming, couldn't handle his emotions correctly. My parents separated a short time before she gave birth, and then she passed away. He wasn't even at my birth. He was busy at his new job, always listening to his boss, some creepy old guy who ran a business building weapons and military bases. I once bought some droids from these desert nomad merchants, and one spoke way too much. The other one was kind of cool, like cute noises, he was a boss. And they said they were looking for a guy named Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I knew a Ben Kenobi, he was a family friend, so I asked my uncle if he knew him, and he gave me the usual stare like, shut up. So eventually, I would take the droids out to see if Ben knew Obi-Wan, but Ben lives really far out, like Maya Westfall. But hey, they could be his property. So we met up with Ben, and I found out, he was Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's crazy, right? So then he told me about my father and how I should join this old lifestyle that really wasn't popular anymore. It was like Zen Buddhism and samurai culture put together for old people. And I thought he was really trying to get me to buy something like a timeshare. And the droids had this video of some woman saying that she needed Ben's help. And I was like, what do you do for a living, Ben? He's like, like a life coach, a spiritual advisor. I was like, I don't know about Ben sometimes, he had weird answers. Spoken riddles, not like backwards, but like just weird oddball answers. So Ben told me about this dude who killed my father, always wore black. And I always had father issues. I always felt like he abandoned me. Like, why couldn't he work things out with my mother? So when I get back home to get a few things, I found my uncle and my aunt burned to a crisp. And now I know I live in the bad part of the desert, right? There's mad gangs. But I was still in shock about what happened. But my uncle wasn't the nicest dude either. Like, he hit me a few times, yelled at me for not being his son, even though I had nothing to do with that. So Ben and I took the droids out to start our trip to really who knows where. We don't have a plane or a ship. This spiritual awakening, turning 18, being a man, let's see the universe backpack kind of trip better be worth it. So we go into this bar and meet these two guys, Han and Chewbacca. And Han was really slimy looking, like a retired pirate, a real scoundrel. And Chewbacca was really hairy. I think he was Puerto Rican. He mumbled a lot. He always yelled. I can never understand what he's saying. So we would fly to the other side of the galaxy in 12 parsecs, pretty fast for a hunk of junk. And we would go to this military outpost turned death machine, but it was kind of cool on a Saturday. And Ben had to meet someone there talking about owing him money, even though Ben always looked like a hobo. He collected old junk. He even had a lightsaber. Like, who even uses those anymore, I think he was falling on hard times. When we get there, all hell broke loose. I think the droid stole something, triggered an alarm. We met the girl in the video, and I'm like, wait, did we just come here to pick her up? And she was kind of cute, me and Han had a thing for her, but we had to leave quick. The security guards were hitting everybody. One dude got shot. It's usually why I don't go to nightclubs anymore, So I saw that Ben found a dude dressed in black, real morbid looking, face real shiny, voice deep, real tall. And we were trying to get things under control, and then a dude in black stabbed Ben. And I'm like, I know Ben was up to shady business, but I was kind of fucked up for a minute, I had to put my things together. And the woman we picked up, her name was Leia. And she was really obnoxious, asking us all these questions, like, how did we get involved? How do we know Ben? And we're like, we don't know anything, man. So the droids kept talking to her. And then Ben left me a message saying I should go see his friend in the Dagobah system. But let me tell you, Dagobah is really, really far. That's like going from here to New York, then to Chicago. It's ridiculous. I wasn't excited about that. And he said he'll have more stuff for me to do with my spiritual awakening, turning 18, being man, let's see the universe backpack kind of trip. But honestly, I was kind of over it already. I just saw Ben get stabbed. At this point though, I had nowhere to go. My aunt and uncle are dead. I just met Ben a couple of days ago. When I daydream, he talks to me, and I'm wondering if I'm going crazy. Han and Chewie are cool, mad scoundrels though. And Leia, we kissed once, you know. It was alright, nothing in the movie, you know, like just. But then Han told me he kissed her a couple of days ago. And you know, Han swears every woman wants him, like he's Indiana Jones or something. And, you know, I felt like, you know, maybe she was feeling him. You know, maybe she likes older dudes. You know, maybe she considered me more like a... And the droids were cool, you know, the short one was a boss, the tall one was annoying, talks too much. So, I went to see Ben's friends, right? And he was the weirdest dude ever. Like, weird. And I understand why Ben spoke in riddles. Like, this little dude spoke backwards. He was mad short, and I don't want to call him a midget because I don't want to be an asshole, but I was like really weirded out. And I'm just like, yo, how do you and Ben meet? He's like, his teacher I once was. Okay, word. Indeed, I was. What do? Coach of life, yes? Advising on the spiritual, yes? Look, now, I'm not the most well-educated dude up on the desert. I'm not traveled. There's like every weird dude, a spiritual advisor. Not a priest, but a spiritual advisor. I mean, you know, he had an old-ass lightsaber too in green. It was kind of cool, but like, his name is Yoda. Like, is that Japanese? And he wanted to train me, piggyback on me, and ran through the forest. And I'm like, did Ben do this too? Same thing he did. So I got this text message from Han that he was going to Cloud City to see his boy Lando to repair the ship, but I should meet him there because he was a backstabbing bastard and he might need backup if he oversteps the line. So before I left, Yoda was upset with me, saying, the training you have to finish. I'm like, but yo, Han needs me, and Han never needs anyone. So you know I gotta go look out for him. And then Yoda tells me a few things Obi-Wan told me to tell you. That Leia's my sister. And I'm like, yeah, you gotta be kidding, right? She ain't my sister. Yoda said, trust me, you should. Did nothing crazy, did you? I was like, no, not me. I mean, Han might have, you know. He's a scoundrel. And Yoda was funny, you know, his weird speech impediment. He said I have to go face the man in black, and I found that kind of crazy because he looks like mad dangerous. I heard he force choked somebody. I'm like, that's not a trick, dude. The dude was dead. So I go to Cloud City, and I see a Mandalorian ship, and those dudes are worse than Han. And I was like, you know, the crew we had was cool. We never came up with like a cool name or anything. But then I heard the Mandalorian took Han, carbonated his ass, and took him to his boss Jabba. Owed him a lot of dough, they said. And I was like, see, Han, stop fucking with slimy dudes. Because Jabba's mad slimy. So now the man in black who killed Ben comes up to me, right? And he's like, yo, my name is Darth Vader. And I can barely understand what he's saying. He has a voice manipulator. And it smelled really funny like gasoline. Up close it was a deep voice, but it sounded like he had emphysema. And we spoke about Han and how he knows Ben had me on this weird spiritual journey, turning 18 backpack trip. And then he was like, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. And I'm kind of confused, like, yo, Vader, you don't even know me. You're like, join me and I'll complete your training. And I'm like, you know, Ben and Yoda barely trained me. The last thing I need is another spiritual advisor to lead me nowhere. He goes, with our combined strength, we can end the destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. I'm like, conflict? What are you talking about, me? If you only knew the power of the dark side. Great, now you're talking like Ben in riddles. I have no clue what you're talking about. Ben never told you what happened to your father. You know, he told me enough, you know. You know how he is. He told me you killed him. No. I am your father. And I'm like, nah, you can't be my father. That's impossible. Search your feelings, you know it to be true. So I was like standing there, right? Really confused. So I asked him, where the hell you been? Why didn't you call me? You left me on Tatooine. There's nothing to do in Tatooine. And I got mad at him and did what most teenagers do with their angst. I took a swing. And he beat me up pretty bad. I got my hand cut. I was all bloody. So then I just jumped off the balcony because I was scared for my life. And I had to wait for my friends to pick me up. They saw my hand, they asked me what happened. I didn't really say anything. But you know, I kept staring at Leia like, we kissed. And they told me more about Han, and that we had to go get him. And then Vina and I started having conversations. My therapist told me it'll be healthy for me to see him again, to get, but things always got out of control when I hung out with him. The last time I was with him, he threw his boss off a balcony. I assisted him in turning his life support machine on. Look, I don't know if anyone else has ever had complicated events happen just while trying to find himself and then dealing with an absentee parent. But at the end, I eventually told Leia that we are brother and sister. And we never talk about the kiss, even when we're drunk. We had our two friends, Han and Chewie are still there, not for long. And those two droids, they were cool, especially the short one. But at the end of the day, having hope in this massive universe is just as important as knowing how to use a lightsaber. Thank you.